Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Friday Night SmackDown on April 12th, 2013. And actually, I'll go off and first off and say a buddy of mine from college named Jason Bassett, who lives in the Boston area now, but came out to Arizona for college much like I did, was actually live at the crowd at the SmackDown tapings, and he actually said that it was a mediocre show. And I'll be honest, I actually, at best, that this SmackDown was mediocre. So I do believe him in that sense. At best, this show was mediocre. First of all, just the amount of squash matches that they actually had in there. Daniel Bryan and Kane versus the Primetime Players just squashed them away. Wade Barrett, Santino, nothing there as well. The Divas match was bad at best in general in there. Also, the Sheamus, Randy Orton versus Big Show match was nothing to write home about. And then again, even the main event was nothing really to write home about. Though Chris Jericho and Dolph Ziggler did put on a decent match in there, but it again was nothing to write home about. There were a few good aspects to the show in there. One of the good aspects was the whole, Triple H. He was going out there to talk about his match Sunday with Brock Lesnar, his match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and he basically got interrupted by 3MB, which brought out the Shield. I'm liking how the Shield is going after the even bigger names now, like the bigger legends. That they went after Undertaker on Monday, and now they're going after Triple H. And I'm liking how they're inserting Daniel Bryan and Kane back into there, because they were, when the Shield initially came about, they were one of the original people that feuded with them and never really had a full ending with the Shield. It's nice to see that they're inserting them back into the Shield storyline, and maybe this will continue on with some kind of tag team title match, because basically there's no other teams for Team Hell No to go with, so hopefully they're going to go with the Shield in this case. At least that's where I'm hoping they go with it. The other aspect that I liked, even though the Randy Orton and Sheamus, the Randy Orton, Sheamus versus Big Show handicap match was no good in any way, shape, or form. I liked the whole backstage segment with Sheamus and eventually getting attacked by Mark Henry. It added a little bit of a different area to it. Initially you had Orton and Sheamus fighting over who would fight the Big Show next in there. This adds like another dimension to it. Either you're going to have two one-on-one feuds where Big Show and Orton against each other, and then Sheamus and Mark Henry against each other, or you could team up Mark Henry and the Big Show and Randy Orton and Sheamus, and you can have actually probably a fairly interesting and fun match right then and there. You have two guys that are relatively smaller but still have that brawler aspect versus the two big guys with Mark Henry and Big Show. So that could definitely be something interesting towards the end here in the near future to see where they actually go with that. The only match I actually liked on the show was actually the Kofi Kingston and Antonio Cesaro match, and they put on a really good match there. Obviously, I think they're going for Kofi Kingston being more of going after the United States title at this point, obviously because they gave him the win tonight. So they're probably going to do something here in the near future with the two of them. Hopefully, they can put on a decent or very good program. They obviously put on a really good match on SmackDown. Let's see if they can continue that with a decent storyline as well. Which basically does bring me to the last point. With Dolph Ziggler and Chris Jericho as the main event initially. I liked the initial setup for it because it seemed like they were setting up maybe a fatal four-way match for the for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, or something in that sense, with having Jack Swagger and Alberto Del Rio interrupting Dolph Ziggler during his celebration, and of course Chris Jericho as well. Maybe that is the actual route that they're going, though they seem to be wanting to keep Chris Jericho on this Fandango storyline. And honestly, I really don't see it. I really don't see it with Fandango at all. all he's really shown me over the last month since he's come on to the programming has been nothing more than a top rope leg drop, and it's really like the character I don't find to be all that good to begin with. Obviously, I thought his match with Chris Jericho at WrestleMania was mediocre at best, and I'm just not seeing where obviously a lot of people are liking the Fandango character. I'm not seeing it right now. I don't like the character, and he needs to be able to show more than just a top rope leg drop to me in the ring in any way, shape, or form before the character can even grow on me or anything in that aspect. And hopefully he will, because he's working with a very good performer in Chris Jericho right now. So hopefully he can show more of what he can do here in the near future. Obviously he has the crowd behind him right now. You saw on Raw and on SmackDown them humming the theme song of Fandango. So let's see if he can start showing more what he can do in the ring. And maybe the character will grow on me over time. I don't know, but at this point it's not really working for me. So overall, SmackDown in general, you had some good aspects to it, but most of it was just like promos, decent or good promos in there. You had a good one, a good segment of promos with Randy Orton, Sheamus, Booker T, and Teddy Long. Of course, eventually Booker T and Big Show as well. They had a decent backstage segment, and that's honestly where this show becomes mediocre, is because those segments were actually good. They were decent. They were, they did something well there. But matches-wise, nothing good to really write home about outside of Kofi Kingston and Antonio Cesaro. And yeah, overall, I felt SmackDown was a mediocre show at best this week. So that's my review for this week's Friday Night SmackDown. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.